You're the victim in a case and the defendant has just been convicted of a crime and sentenced. Now what? You still have victims' rights and the case may not be fully over. You have some choices to make about your participation moving forward and whether or not you receive information about the case in the future. You opted in at the beginning of the case, but Arizona law requires you to opt in again after sentencing to continue to receive your rights. You will receive a post-conviction notification request form, also known as a PC&R form, from the prosecutor's office. In order to continue to receive victims' rights and information about your case, even though you previously opted in and have been receiving notice, you must complete the form and send copies to each agency listed. There are several agencies named on the form, but you can pick and choose which you want to hear from about your case. The PC&R contains detailed instructions on how to complete it and all of the agency contact information. Be sure to complete all requested information before sending copies to any of the listed agencies. You should keep a copy of the form so you have all agency information should you need it. You must keep your contact information, like phone numbers, emails, and mailing addresses, up to date with each agency. Otherwise, you'll waive your rights and miss out on important notifications. Each agency may have different ways for you to return the form, like through mail or email. Keep in mind that it is your choice whether to opt in for notification from all, some, or none of these agencies. Whether you choose to opt in or not, you can change your mind later in the process by contacting the appropriate agencies. If you choose not to opt in, you will not receive any further information on your case. And again, if you don't keep your contact information up to date, you will not receive any information either. If you didn't get the PC&R form or you misplaced it, no problem. Contact the prosecutor's office and ask for a new one. Now, let's take a look at what each agency can provide you. If you send a copy of the PC&R form to the prosecutor's office that has handled your case so far, you'll receive notice of any appeals filed in the original trial court, any hearings during those appeals, and the outcome of the appeals. The prosecutor's office will also notify you if the defendant makes a request to set aside their conviction, or in some cases, if they apply to restore their civil rights. If the defendant was sentenced to jail and you send a copy of the PC&R form to the sheriff's office, you'll receive notice if the inmate is released from custody or dies in custody. You will also be notified if the inmate escapes and when they are rearrested. If the defendant was sentenced to supervised probation and you send a copy of the PC&R form to the County Adult Probation Department, you will receive notice of any request the offender makes to modify the terms of their probation, any proceedings regarding the terms of their probation or revocation, any issue that affects your safety, your restitution, or the incarceration status of the offender, and any arrest resulting from a probation violation. You will also be notified when the probation term ends. If the defendant was sentenced to unsupervised probation, contact your prosecutor's office. If the defendant was convicted of a felony and you send a copy of the PC&R form to the Arizona Attorney General's office, you will receive notice of any appeals filed in the state or federal courts. Notice includes any proceedings scheduled before the court and the outcome of any appeal. If the defendant was sentenced to prison and you send a copy of the PC&R form to the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry, or ADCRR, you will receive notice if the inmate is released from custody or dies while in custody or while in community supervision through ADCRR. You will also be notified if the inmate escapes and when they are rearrested. If you don't want to receive mail from the inmate, ADCRR can assist you with that too. If the defendant was sentenced to prison and you send a copy of the PC&R form to the Board of Executive Clemency, you'll receive notice of parole, commutation, and clemency hearings, and the outcome of any proceeding. As the victim, you have the right to be present and heard at these proceedings. Many of these agencies provide other supports and services to victims, such as resources and referrals, assistance with restitution, help with protective orders, someone to go with you to proceedings, information about property return, the Victim Offender Dialogue Program, and more. If you have questions, reach out to these agencies for more information, support, and guidance. They're here to help you understand the process. Remember, you can find all of the information for the agencies related to your case on the instructions page of the PCNR form. We know this process can be confusing. If at any time you have questions, please reach out to any of the agencies on the PCNR form. Everyone is happy to help.